The office lights turned on at exactly 8 o'clock in the morning. It was a normal Monday. The sky outside was gray, and the air felt heavy. Inside the building, people walked to their desks with coffee cups in their hands. Keyboards started clicking. Phones began ringing. Marcus was already there. He always arrived before everyone else. He liked the quiet time before the day became busy. He organized his desk. He checked his emails. He reviewed the tasks for the week. Marcus had worked at the company for 5 years. He was known for being calm, kind, and hardworking. When someone needed help, they went to him. When there was a problem, he found a solution. He never argued. He never complained. That morning, he did not know his life was about to change. At 8:45, his phone rang. It was the front desk. "Mr. Collins wants to see you," the receptionist said softly. Marcus felt a small knot in his stomach. It was unusual. The manager rarely called him into his office without warning. Still, Marcus stood up calmly. He adjusted his tie. He told his coworker, "I'll be back in a few minutes." As he walked toward the manager's office, a few employees looked up. Something felt strange. No one spoke. Mr. Collins was sitting behind his large desk. The blinds were half closed, and the room felt dark. He did not smile when Marcus walked in. "Close the door," Mr. Collins said. Marcus closed it gently and sat down. For a few seconds, there was silence. Mr. Collins looked at some papers but did not really read them. He avoided eye contact. "Marcus," he began, his voice cold. "We've decided to let you go." Marcus blinked. He thought maybe he heard wrong. "I'm sorry?" he asked politely. "You're no longer a good fit for this company," Mr. Collins said. Marcus felt his heart beat faster. His mind searched for answers. "Did I make a mistake?" he asked. "Is there a problem with my work?" Mr. Collins shook his head slightly. "It's just not working out. That was all. No clear reason. No warning. No second chance." Marcus tried to stay calm. "Sir, I've completed every project on time. The clients are happy. If there is something I can improve, please tell me." Mr. Collins finally looked at him. His face was serious, almost annoyed. "This decision is final," he said. "HR will handle the paperwork." The words felt heavy in the air. Marcus sat still for a moment. 5 years of hard work ended in less than 5 minutes. He stood up slowly. "Thank you for the opportunity," he said quietly. He walked out of the office with steady steps, but inside, his chest felt tight. Outside, the office was silent. Everyone could feel something had happened. Marcus went to his desk and opened a small box. He placed his family photo inside. He packed his notebook, his pen, and the small plant he had kept near his computer. One coworker whispered, "What's going on?" Marcus gave a small smile. "I'm leaving." Shock spread across the room. "That makes no sense," someone said under their breath. Many people knew Marcus was one of the strongest workers in the company. He trained new staff. He solved difficult technical problems. He often stayed late without asking for extra pay. Still, no one spoke loudly. They were afraid. As Marcus walked toward the exit, some employees lowered their heads. One woman quietly said, "I'm so sorry." Marcus nodded kindly. He did not want to create trouble. He did not want to argue. But inside, he felt confused and hurt. Outside the building, the cold wind hit his face. He stood there for a moment, holding the box in his hands. He thought about his rent, his family, his responsibilities. He also thought about something else. He remembered small comments Mr. Collins had made in the past. Comments about fitting in. Comments about company image. Comments that felt uncomfortable but were never clear enough to fight against. Now those memories felt different. Inside the office, Mr. Collins leaned back in his chair. For a moment, he felt powerful. He believed he had made a strong decision. But he did not notice the damage already beginning. The team felt broken. Trust was shaken. Important projects were left in confusion. Marcus had built systems that only he fully understood. He had relationships with clients that only he managed smoothly. Without him, things would not run the same. That Monday morning looked normal from the outside. But inside that building, a mistake had just been made. A decision based on unfair judgment. And within 1 week, that decision would return like a storm. One man walked out quietly. Another man believed he had won. But the story was only beginning. The next morning, the office did not feel the same. Marcus's desk was empty. His chair was pushed in neatly. His computer was turned off. The small plant he used to water every day was gone. It was just a desk now. People tried to work as usual. They opened emails. They answered calls. They typed reports. But something was missing. By 10 a.m., the first problem appeared. A client called asking about a project update. The numbers in the report did not match the system. The deadline was very close. Normally, Marcus handled that project. He knew every detail, every password, every shortcut. Now, no one knew where to begin. Did Marcus leave any notes? Someone asked. They searched his folders. They checked shared files. But Marcus had kept many important details in his head. He always fixed issues before they became serious. He protected the team from stress. Now the stress was everywhere. In the break room, whispers started. "This doesn't make sense," one employee said quietly. "He was the most reliable person here," another replied. Someone else lowered their voice. "Do you remember the comments Mr. Collins made last month?" The room became quiet. They all remembered. Small jokes, small remarks, words about image and culture. Words that felt wrong but were never direct enough to report. Back then, everyone ignored it. They told themselves it was nothing. Now it felt bigger. At his office, Mr. Collins tried to act normal. He walked through the hallway with confidence. He gave short answers to questions. He told people to figure it out. But he could feel the tension. When employees looked at him, their eyes were different. There was no respect in them, only doubt. By the afternoon, another issue appeared. A large supplier emailed about a delayed payment. The contract terms were unclear. Only Marcus fully understood that agreement. He had negotiated it carefully to protect the company. Without him, confusion grew. Mr. Collins became irritated. "Why is everything falling apart?" he snapped during a meeting. No one answered, because deep down they all knew the answer. That evening, the company owner returned from a business trip. He was a quiet man who believed in results and fairness. As soon as he stepped inside, he sensed something was wrong. The office energy was heavy. No one laughed. No one talked loudly. He called his assistant. "Why does it feel like this?" he asked. The assistant hesitated. "Marcus was let go yesterday." The owner stopped walking. "Marcus?" The project lead. "Yes," she said carefully. Mr. Collins made the decision. The owner frowned. He had seen Marcus's work many times. Clean reports, strong performance, loyal attitude. "Why?" he asked. "I'm not sure," the assistant replied. Meanwhile, Marcus was at home, sitting at his small kitchen table. His box of office items sat beside him. He felt tired, but not broken. He replayed the meeting in his mind. The cold voice, the short explanation. He asked himself again, was it really about my work? His phone buzzed. It was a message from a coworker. "Things are already falling apart here," the message said. "We miss you." Marcus stared at the screen. For years, he had given everything to that job. Late nights, extra effort, solutions to problems no one else wanted to handle. And yet, he was removed in minutes. Back at the office, whispers continued to grow. Some employees began quietly sharing their concerns with each other. They compared stories. They connected small pieces of the past. The picture was becoming clearer. One worker finally said what everyone was thinking. This wasn't about performance. The words hung in the air. On Thursday, a major client demanded a meeting. The project errors were serious. The client wanted answers. Mr. Collins tried to prepare, but he lacked the deep knowledge Marcus had built over years. The meeting did not go well. The client left frustrated. After the meeting, the owner called Mr. Collins into his office. "I want to understand why Marcus was fired," the owner said calmly. Mr. Collins gave vague answers again. He didn't fit the direction we're moving. The owner listened carefully. Show me the performance reports, he said. The reports told a different story. Strong results, high ratings, positive client feedback. There was no clear reason for termination. The owner leaned back in his chair. Outside the office door, employees watched quietly. Something was shifting. Mr. Collins began to feel pressure. A small fear started growing in his chest. For the first time, he wondered if he had acted too quickly. But pride stopped him from admitting anything. That night, as the office lights turned off, the building felt restless. One decision had created cracks everywhere. Trust was breaking, and the whispers were no longer quiet. They were growing louder each day. The week was not over yet, and the consequences were Friday morning arrived with dark clouds in the sky. Inside the office, the pressure felt even heavier than before. The team was tired. Mistakes were increasing. Deadlines were getting closer. At exactly 9:12 a.m., the main office phone rang. The receptionist answered. Her face slowly changed. "It's Mr. Turner from Apex Holdings," she whispered after hanging up. Everyone froze. Apex Holdings was their biggest client. Losing them would mean serious trouble for the company. "They found a major error in the financial report," she added. The room fell silent. That report was part of a system Marcus had designed. It was complex. It required careful monitoring. Marcus used to check it every morning before anyone else even arrived. Now no one truly understood it. Mr. Collins quickly walked into the conference room and gathered the team. "We need to fix this immediately," he said firmly. "How?" one employee asked quietly. Marcus built the structure. Mr. Collins's jaw tightened. "Then figure it out." The team opened files. They searched emails. They tried to follow old instructions. But the system was like a maze. Marcus had created shortcuts and protections that only he fully understood. He had done it to protect the company from exactly this kind of mistake. By noon, the problem was worse. The numbers did not match across different departments. One small error had multiplied into several. At 1:30 p.m., Mr. Turner called again. This time he was angry. "If this is not corrected by Monday," he warned, "we will reconsider our contract." The words hit like a storm. The company owner was informed immediately. He walked into the office floor and saw the panic in everyone's eyes. "What is happening?" he asked calmly. An employee answered honestly, "We don't know how to fix it without Marcus." The owner said nothing for a moment. Meanwhile, across town, Marcus was sitting in a small cafe with his laptop open. He had started updating his resume. He was not wasting time feeling sorry for himself. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. "Hello." There was silence for a second. Then a familiar voice spoke. "Marcus. This is Daniel from your old team." Marcus sat up straight. "I know this might be awkward," Daniel continued, "but we're in trouble. The Apex system is failing. We can't trace the error." Marcus felt a mix of emotions, pain, frustration, and something else, responsibility. "I'm not part of the company anymore," Marcus said gently. "I know," Daniel replied, "but you're the only one who understands it fully." Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered the long nights building that system. He remembered how proud he felt when it worked perfectly. "Send me the error details," he said finally. "I'll take a look." Back at the office, Mr. Collins was told about the call. His face turned red. "Why are you contacting him?" he demanded. "Because we need help," Daniel replied honestly. Mr. Collins felt his control slipping. That afternoon, Marcus reviewed the files carefully. He quickly found the issue. A small formula had been changed accidentally during an update. Without his weekly check, it went unnoticed. He wrote clear instructions and sent them back. Within 2 hours, the main issue was fixed. The team felt relief. But something else changed that day. They realized how much Marcus had truly protected them. The owner watched everything closely. Later that evening, He sat alone in his office reviewing Marcus's past performance records. The numbers were excellent. Client feedback was strong. There were no formal complaints. So why was he fired? The owner began asking deeper questions. He reviewed emails between Mr. Collins and HR. He noticed certain phrases repeated often. Cultural alignment, company image, better fit. None of it explained performance problems. The owner leaned back in his chair. Something did not feel right. Meanwhile, Mr. Collins sat in his office staring at the wall. He had believed firing Marcus would show authority. He thought it would make him appear strong. But instead, it exposed weakness. The company almost lost its biggest client in just 4 days. And it was Marcus, the man he removed, who saved the situation. That night, Marcus received another message. "Thank you," Daniel wrote. "You didn't have to help us." Marcus smiled slightly. He did not help for Mr. Collins. He helped because he believed in his work. He believed in integrity. But deep inside, he knew something important had shifted. He was no longer just the fired employee. He was the one who proved his value without saying a word. Back at the office, whispers had changed tone. They were no longer about confusion. They were about truth. The team now saw clearly who carried the real strength in that building. And the owner was beginning to see it too. The week was almost over. But for Mr. Collins, the real storm W. Thursday morning arrived with a strange calm. The office felt lighter, but also uncertain. Everyone knew something serious had happened. The suspension of Mr. Collins was not small news. It spread quickly through every department. People were careful with their words, but inside, many felt relief. For the first time in a long while, they felt heard. The owner spent most of the morning in meetings with HR and legal advisors. He wanted to make sure the company handled everything correctly, not just to protect the business, but to protect its values. Meanwhile, Marcus sat in a quiet meeting room in another building across town. He had accepted an interview earlier that week with a competing company. The interview had gone well, very well. Now he was back for a second meeting. The new company's director smiled warmly at him. "We've reviewed your project systems," she said. "They're impressive. Clean structure, strong protection layers, smart thinking." Marcus nodded politely. "Thank you. We also heard about what happened at your last company," she added carefully. "I want you to know, here, we respect skill and character." Those words felt powerful. For days, Marcus had stayed calm on the outside. But inside, he carried pain. He questioned his worth. He replayed the firing again and again in his mind. Hearing someone recognize his value felt different. Felt like healing. Back at his old company, the owner called another staff meeting. He stood in front of everyone with a serious but steady voice. "We are implementing new leadership training," he announced. "We are reviewing our hiring and management policies. We will ensure fairness in every decision moving forward." Some employees felt emotional hearing that. Trust had been broken, but now there was effort to rebuild it. In his temporary office at home, Mr. Collins stared at his phone. He had not received any update yet. The waiting felt worse than any meeting. For the first time, he had time to think. He remembered the day he fired Marcus. He remembered the look in Marcus's eyes, confused, but calm. He told himself at the time that it was just business. But now, as everything unfolded, doubt began to grow. Was it really business? Or was it something deeper? His phone finally rang. It was the owner. "We've completed the investigation," the owner said calmly. "We need you to come in tomorrow morning." Mr. Collins felt a cold wave move through his body. The next morning, he entered the building quietly. No confident walk this time. No strong posture. Employees noticed. He walked into the owner's office. The conversation was short. "The investigation confirms that your decision lacked fair evaluation," the owner said directly. "Your leadership created risk and division. We cannot continue like this." Mr. Collins understood what was coming. "You are being terminated effective immediately." The words echoed in the room. 1 week earlier, he had said similar words to Marcus. Now they returned to him. He packed his belongings slowly. This time, There were no quiet apologies from coworkers. No one lowered their heads. Most people stayed focused on their work. That silence spoke louder than words. Across town, Marcus received an official job offer. Higher salary, leadership role, respect. He read the email twice. Then he smiled. He thought about the difficult week, the confusion, the quiet pain, the unfair ending. But now a new beginning was opening. Later that afternoon, the owner sent Marcus a final message. I want to personally apologize again. If you ever wish to return, our door is open. Marcus appreciated the message, but he knew something important. Sometimes growth requires moving forward, not going back. He replied kindly, thanking the owner for his honesty. That evening, as the sun set behind the city buildings, two men reflected on the same week in very different ways. Marcus felt stronger, not because of revenge, not because someone else lost, but because truth had defended him. Mr. Collins, sitting alone at his dining table, felt the weight of regret. He realized something painful. Power without fairness is weak. Leadership without integrity does not last. One decision, made in pride and prejudice, had changed everything. 1 week, 7 days, that was all it took. The consequences had begun, and the final lesson was still ahead. The first morning without a job felt strange for Mr. Collins. For years, he woke up at 6 a.m., wore a sharp suit, and walked into the office with confidence. People stood when he entered a room. His voice carried weight. Now the house was quiet. No phone calls, no emails, no meetings. He sat at his kitchen table with a cup of coffee that slowly turned cold. He stared at nothing. For the first time in a long while, he had no power. And with that silence, his thoughts became louder. He remembered the moment he called Marcus into his office. He remembered how short the conversation was. He had not given Marcus a real reason. He had not asked questions. He had not listened. At that time, he told himself it was leadership. Now it felt different. Now it felt careless. Across town, Marcus was walking into his new office building for the first time. The entrance was bright and modern. People greeted him warmly. The director introduced him to the team with pride. "This is Marcus," she said. "He will be leading our systems department." Applause filled the room. Marcus felt nervous but grateful. He shook hands. He smiled politely. He noticed something important. People looked at him with respect. Not doubt. Not judgment. Respect. Later that afternoon, Marcus sat at his new desk. It was clean and empty, ready for a fresh start. He placed his small plant on the corner, the same one he had taken from his old desk. He took a deep breath. It was not just a new job. It was a new chapter. Back at his house, Mr. Collins opened his laptop and searched his name online. He saw the company announcement about leadership changes. He saw posts from employees supporting fairness and integrity. Then he saw something that stopped him. A professional post about Marcus. Excited to welcome Marcus as our new systems director. It included praise for his skills and leadership. Mr. Collins stared at the screen for a long time. He realized something difficult. Marcus did not need revenge. Marcus needed opportunity. And once given that opportunity, he rose quickly. Mr. Collins closed the laptop. For days, he tried to convince himself that he was misunderstood, that he was treated too harshly. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He remembered small comments he had made in the past. He remembered assuming things about people instead of learning about them. He remembered choosing comfort over fairness. Those choices felt small at the time, but together they built something harmful. On Wednesday evening, he received a call from an old colleague in another company. "I heard what happened," the colleague said carefully. "It might be difficult for you to find a senior role soon. Companies are cautious about leadership behavior." The words were polite but clear. Reputation matters. Trust matters. Leadership follows you. After the call ended, Mr. Collins sat in silence. For the first time, he truly felt regret. Not regret for losing his position, but regret for losing integrity. Meanwhile, Marcus was in a meeting with his new team. He noticed one young employee sitting quietly in the corner. The employee looked unsure, almost invisible. Marcus recognized that feeling. He gently invited the young employee to share ideas. Slowly, confidence grew in that room. Marcus had learned something powerful from his experience. Leadership is not about control. It is about creating space for others to shine. That evening, as Marcus walked out of his new office, the sunset painted the sky orange and gold. He felt peace. The week that once felt painful now felt like a turning point. Back in his quiet home, Mr. Collins finally allowed himself to say something he had avoided all week. I was wrong. No one was there to hear it, but saying it mattered. He understood now that prejudice does not always shout loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides behind excuses. But its damage is real. 1 week earlier, he believed firing Marcus showed strength. Now he saw it clearly. True strength would have been fairness. True strength would have been listening. True strength would have been humility. Instead, he chose pride. And pride cost him everything. The regret did not come in anger. It came in understanding. And that understanding would stay with him for a long time. One man was rising in a new place. One man was sitting alone, thinking about what he lost. The lesson was no longer about a job. It was about character. And character, once broken, is hard to repair.